Today we are making the easiest and most delicious vegan cookies, and these are pretty foolproof since a non-baker like me was able to make them, and I gotta say that these are some of the best cookies I've ever had, vegan or not, so let's get to baking. And it's worth noting that this is a vegan adaptation of this recipe, and the first thing to veganize is the butter. So we'll just make a simple swap with vegan butter, and then we need to get it softened in order to cream it with the sugar. And I saw this trick on TikTok for softening butter in a pinch. Usually I just microwave it, but they filled a glass up with boiling water, let it sit for a bit, and then empty it and put it over the butter like so, and the idea was that the residual heat would soften the butter. Well, it didn't really work for me, so I just went ahead and microwaved it for about 15 to 20 seconds. Microwaves vary, so just make sure you don't melt the butter. But there we go, softened vegan butter. And the other thing we need to veganize is the eggs, and I'm going to be using flax eggs in this recipe, and I think they work pretty great. We just need to get 2 tablespoons of ground flaxseed, let that sit with 2 tablespoons of water, and at first it's going to be very runny, but after a few minutes we can see that it's thickened up quite nicely and will work great as a vegan egg. And for the chocolate chips, or should I say chunks, this is a tip I got from Benjamin the Baker. Instead of chips, which hold their shape when melted, I'm going to be using some chocolate bars and chopping them into chunks. This is going to give us those deep pockets of melted chocolate throughout the cookie, and this is just my preference, so use chips if you wanna. We're also going to go over adding in some other toppings as well as a sweet and spicy gochujang cookie. But for now, to make the base dough, let's get our dry ingredients, which is going to be 360 grams of all-purpose flour, 1 teaspoon baking soda, a half teaspoon baking powder, 1 teaspoon salt. I'm using coarse sea salt, so adjust if you're using table salt. Oh, and speaking of which, adjust your salt if you're using unsalted or salted butter or salted chocolate, but for me this was the perfect level. You could even sprinkle some flaky salt if you want it as well. But that is our dry ingredients, so whisk those up, and now let's get a stand mixer and add in 2 sticks of softened vegan butter, 1 cup of brown sugar, as well as 1 cup of white sugar. And then we simply just want to cream this together for a few minutes until it looks something like that. And then next we're going to add in our flax egg, as well as 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. Continue to whip that for another couple minutes. It should get a bit lighter and fluffier, and it's going to look something like this. And now we just need to add in our dry ingredients, so do that and start mixing on low so you don't splatter flour everywhere. Mix on low just until all the dry flour has been absorbed, and don't overmix. Next, let's get 2 cups of our chopped chocolate and mix that in just until it's well combined throughout the dough. And to shape our cookies, I'm going to be using this 1.5 tablespoon scooper and scooping out about 50 grams of dough per cookie. And then I'm going to roll them into a ball and then add them to a parchment lined baking sheet and flatten them out just a little bit. Also, don't grease the parchment paper, as this will cause the cookies to spread too much. I also recommend doing a test batch of like 2 or 3 cookies at first so you can see how long they need to cook in your oven. Speaking of which, we're going to add these to a 375 degree Fahrenheit oven for about 10 minutes. The longer you go, the thinner and crispier your cookies are going to be. I personally like these kind of thinner cookies with a slightly crispy outside and a gooey center, so if you like them thicker and softer all around, try going for like 8 minutes. But once they are out of the oven, let them rest for about 2 minutes, and then you just need to gently move them to a wire rack to cool down. And these classic chocolate chunk cookies are great, but you can really go to town and add whatever you like. For me, this meant recreating these everything cookies like Maya's Cookies in San Diego. If you're ever down there, check them out. They've got some amazing cookies. But to make some at home, all we need to do is get some vegan marshmallows. I like the Dandy's brand, but Trader Joe's has some as well. We're also going to get some pretzels, and basically all we need to do is just lightly press these down into the cookie like so. You can also just split these giant marshmallows in half as well so they don't take up the whole cookie, but these were just freaking unbelievable, so if you have access to vegan marshmallows, give them a try. And if you have any kind of vegan M&Ms, obviously go ahead and use those, or if you want something totally different, why not make these gochujang caramel cookies? This is a recipe from Eric Kim over at the New York Times, and I love spicy, savory, and sweet, so I knew I would love these. All we need is 1 tablespoon each of softened vegan butter, gochujang, and brown sugar. Mix that up and then get some of your cookie dough, and this doesn't have any chocolate chunks, but I bet that would still work as well. But then Eric just kind of smeared the mixture in, and he did a much better job than I did. I think if I were going to redo this, I would just add a dollop to each cookie after forming, but this worked out just fine. And I baked these the same as the others, and my lord, these are just ridiculously delicious, and all of these are just truly some of the best cookies I've ever had. They seriously put Mrs. Fields to shame. They're just so rich and decadent, so bravo to Laura who developed this recipe, and if you want to try your hand at some vegan Pop-Tarts, check out this recipe right here, and until then, I'll see you all next time.